Woo. What's up, One Church? How you feeling today? All right, so I got good news and bad news. The good news is, like, people are coming into the service like crazy. The bad news is we're, like, running out of seats, so we need to make space for everybody. So would you kind of, like, move in so people don't have to, like, crawl over top of you, and we can get every seat filled? And then plus you just get a chance to get a little closer with your neighbor. Come on, isn't that good? Introduce you to a Greek word, koinonia, fellowship, closeness, bonding, unity. We get to experience all that on the front end of service today. God bless you. So I want to let you know what's going on right now in our church. We are in the process of collecting gift cards for foster kids in our county. And for those of you that don't know what's going on, we met last month with the Franklin County Children's Services, and we said, hey, what is your biggest need? We want to come alongside you. We want to be the wind beneath your wings. Like, what can we do? And they said, well, actually, the people who end up being passed over at Christmas in the foster care system are the teenagers, because a lot of times the little kids will have gifts purchased for them, and the teenagers are sort of forgotten about. And they said, you know, they're the ones going through really, really critical times. I mean, any time to lose a parent is difficult, even as an adult. And any stage as a child is never convenient, but they said the teenagers, 12 to 18 years old, are coming to grips with the fact mom and dad are not around for one reason or another, and so they said, anything you can do would be great. So what can we do? They said, well, $25 gift cards, to fast food restaurants or to, Target or to Amazon would just mean so much. So we said, how many of them are there in our county? And they said 775 teenagers, and so kind of stood up here a few weeks ago and said, hey guys, if you can, would you be willing to maybe get a $25 gift card, maybe get two, so that we could make an impact? And so we were shooting for 775 to be able to hit every single kid, and we were not able to hit the number 775. We hit the number 1,600. Come on, somebody. What? Are you kidding me? 1,600. And we're not done. This is the last day to turn it in. So we got some last night we haven't counted. Some of you have brought them in today. And so we're still collecting them. But listen, there are times that you sit back and go, oh, I wish we could have done more. You did 1,600. We asked for 775. I mean, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars of gift cards. Some of you went out and you recruited your family and your friends and your coworkers and your neighbors. I mean, it was all over the place. I just want to say, great job. How many of you know there's a time to celebrate? Why don't you stand up on your feet and let's celebrate 1,600 gift cards. Come on, church. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. 1,600 gift cards. Every single foster teen in our county is going to get a handwritten card from the body of Christ. Let's go. Get up. 1,600. Great job. Every single one, because you stepped up. Hey, listen. Oh, shoot, it's snowing in here. I didn't even know that was possible. I feel like Kevin Garnett. Everything is possible. Look at you. Come on, Jess. What are those bubbles? I'm going to break my neck up in here. I want you to think about that. Listen, 775. We asked people to do handwritten cards. We had so many people do handwritten cards from the body of Christ. Some kids are going to get 2 cards. Some of them are going to get 3 gift cards because you stepped up to the plate. And I want to say thank you. We talk here about the great commission that God's called us to go into all the world to preach the gospel. It starts in our hometown. And so we say, we're the army God's raising up. We're not going to wait on somebody else to do it. We're not waiting on the government to do it. We're not waiting on some nonprofit to do it. It's what the body of Christ does. And the army showed up. Thank you. Go ahead and give your neighbor a high five. You can take a seat. Whew. I'm ready to do an altar call and go home, somebody. My God. All right. I'm going to need the intercessory prayer team to pray. I don't break my neck on these bubbles up here. Man, it's going to be a great day. Already has been. Well, I want to say what's up to our Northwest Columbus campus. I'm not sure how that went through online, but everybody watching online, want to say what's up to everybody here in Gahanna. And if you're visiting, hope you so far have had a great experience. And honestly, we hope you love it so much you come back and you bring people and let God continue to do what he's doing in the lives of our family and our community. And it's just an honor and a joy to be a part of it. And I want you to know how thankful that I am. I know you're not doing it for me. You do it as unto the Lord. But just to be able to have a seat on this ride the Lord's taken us on is a real honor. We're in a series right now we're calling Picture Perfect. And we've been using this camera to really illustrate and kind of be sort of this, this kind of metaphor for our lives. And how really, Terrell Carter started talking a few weeks ago how the camera's designed to do something specific, right? So if you look at this camera, you see buttons and gauges and settings. And if you were to really understand the camera and study all of its full potential, you would see that it can do a lot of great things. But yet it's been created with specificity for a purpose. And really that's how we are. Like the more we get to know ourselves and the more we learn about that we're fearfully and wonderfully made and that God has made you with a certain personality and he's given you strengths and weaknesses and all of these things, that the more you get to know yourself, it's like you're starting to learn about your gauges and buttons and what God's called you to do. So we've been talking about purpose, and we've been looking at the life of Mary, the mother of Jesus, and talking about a few different things. So go ahead and turn in your Bible to Luke chapter 2. I want to take a moment to mention that we actually read about both Jesus and Mary in the 4 Gospels. So what I mean by Gospels, gospel simply means good news. And the 4 New Testament books, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are the account of Jesus' life and the good news about not only the fact that he came to earth, but why he came to earth. That he came to die for our sin. He was the Messiah. He was the one that came to reconcile man and woman to God. And so if you think about the Bible's 66 books. It's broken up. Each of the books are in different genres. And then in the New Testament, we have the Gospels. Each of the 4 Gospel writers has their own personality, their own perspective. And what's interesting about Mary is we have to kind of piece some things together because the Gospels are really not about Mary. The Gospels are about Jesus. And so Mary's a supporting character in the story. And I want to draw attention to that for a couple of reasons because, first of all, I think it's a mistake to not notice details or to miss some of the context, which we're going to kind of pull out today that kind of put us in Mary's position because really we are kind of like Mary in that it's really not about us. Like we're the supporting actors and actresses in our story. And so many times we tend to put ourselves as the main character and we kind of make it about us. And we make it about our dreams and our ambitions and our pictures and what we're going to do. And really we're like Mary in that it's really not about us, but we do get a role. We do have a purpose in what we do. And I really love the account from Luke in the Gospel of Luke because Luke is, he's actually a physician. And Luke is a detail hound, tremendous accuracy, and the one that we get probably the most about Mary of all the Gospel writers. In Luke 1, it describes that Mary, she was a teenage girl. She was not wealthy. She was somewhat of a peasant, actually, in Nazareth, in a place that would not have been a well-known, renowned location. And yet that's where she was from. And she was someone who wouldn't have stuck out in a crowd, wouldn't have been somebody the world would have called great. But God knew her better than anybody, and God saw the greatness in her. And so he gave her this magnificent assignment. He said, you're going to conceive a child, immaculate conception. And you're going to deliver not only a child, but the Messiah. And she was visited by this angel, Gabriel. And so she carries this baby for 9 months. And this is where we pick up in Luke chapter 2, starting in verse 1. It says, at that time, the Roman Emperor Augustus decreed that a census should be taken throughout the Roman Empire. This was the first census taken when Quirinius was governor of Syria. All returned to their own ancestral towns to register for this census. And because Joseph was a descendant of King David, he had to go to Bethlehem in Judea, David's ancient home. He traveled there from the village of Nazareth in Galilee, and he took with him Mary, who was engaged, who's now expecting a child. Excuse me. And while they were there, the time came for her baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn son. And she wrapped him snugly in strips of cloth and laid him in a manger because there was no lodging available for them. God, I pray you would help me today to speak your word boldly with power. Lord, I know the authority that comes from what I'm about to say really doesn't have anything to do with me, has everything to do that this is your word that's timeless and powerful, and it brings heaven to earth. I pray you would do what only you can do today, which is to take a message I'm going to say to a lot of people and customize it specifically that we would hear your voice and know what you want us to do. In Jesus' name, everybody said amen? Amen. Have you ever found yourself in the wrong place at the wrong time? I won't ask for a show of hands because the reality is we all have been in that place. We've all been in the wrong place at the wrong time. We've all found ourselves from time to time in a situation or an environment that wasn't right. In fact, we found ourselves at times going, what am I doing here right now? How did I get to this place? Being in the wrong place at the wrong time can be tremendously costly. It can mess you up. Sometimes it causes you to end up having to pay for it later. It might end up with guilt by association. But we've all been in the wrong place at the wrong time. I remember seeing a video probably 10, 15 years ago of the wrong place at the wrong time. It was actually a video of a Major League Baseball pitcher. His name was Randy Johnson. If you're a Major League fan, you'll remember. This guy was 6 feet, 10 inches, massive. Threw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. I mean, this guy had an unbelievable arm. And when he would throw the ball, you almost couldn't see it. He threw it so fast, and it looked like a bullet coming out of his hand. One day, he's in this game, and he reaches back, and he throws this missile, toward home plate, and it comes out of his hand, 100 miles an hour, and all of a sudden, the ball just goes and, blows up in midair. Everyone's like, what in the heck happened? Well, what happened is a bird was flying through the stadium, okay? And this bird, now, there's nothing wrong with being a bird, and nothing wrong with flying through the stadium. That bird was in the wrong place at the wrong time, okay? It flew, and I'm talking perfect timing, the ball hits the bird and just feathers and generational eggs, and I'm just talking like explosion. And I just can't think of a better picture of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's okay to be there, just not there then in that spot. And we know how costly being in the wrong place at the wrong time is. I think we live in a day where fear of being in the wrong place at the wrong time, or I should swing the pendulum the other way, of not being in the right place at the right time is really heightened. We're in the information age, and so for the first time, we're just aware of what everyone's doing all the time, all over the place. The party you didn't get invited to now. I used to be ignorant about it. And see, now we see everything we didn't get invited to. Every photo op we weren't a part of, everything we didn't do, every job we didn't get, every vacation we didn't take, every steak we didn't eat. I mean, it's just out there. And so I think people are living with this FOMO that's real. I mean, we kind of joke about it, but fear of missing out is real. And so we're raising up a generation of FOMO sapiens that just are afraid all the time. I'm going to miss out. I'm going to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. I'm not going to be able to network myself properly. Opportunity. The great theologian Marshall Mathers taught me that you only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. Opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You better lose. Okay, anyway, so we worry that I'm not going to be in the right place at the right time, and I'm going to miss everything. And I was telling my wife about this message this week, and I was like, I want to try to think of a really good example of being in the right place at the right time. She started telling me this story. Now, let me give you a little backstory real quick. So my wife and daughter love sharks. Okay, so when Shark Week happens, it just runs on loop in our house. They record it all, they watch it all and everything, and it's all about sharks. So this last summer, we went on vacation. We were in Florida, and my wife comes to me, and she's like, I'm going to be going shark diving off the coast in Florida. And I was like, I understand having a bucket list, but how near to you do you want the bucket? Because it's a great way to die, would be in the ocean with sharks. And she's kind of like, I'm kind of a grown woman, so I'm going to do it. But our 11-year-old daughter would like to go as well. And she's like, and since you're sort of half responsible for her life, I think that you should probably be able to have a say in it. And so I was like, you know what? you guys do whatever you want. You only get one crack at life. But I'm just going to tell you, if you get eaten by a shark in the middle of the ocean, I will be remarried within a week. And it will have nothing to do with love. It will be purely childcare. That's it. I could never love another woman like I love you. I will never love another woman, but I will remarry within a week, I promise. I have no idea who, no idea. Haven't really thought about it until now, but if you get eaten, count on it. There will be a new Mrs. Ford by Sunday. So they go hours off the coast, hours. And they go free diving with sharks. Not the cage thing, with the steel and everything. Swimming. My 11-year-old daughter and my wife, who we're not sure how old she is, we're swimming in the middle of the ocean with sharks. I mean, pictures, videos, everything of these sharks, like touching them and everything. So they're all about these sharks. So my wife starts telling me about sharks, and she's like, talking, which, by the way, that would be a great example of the wrong place at the wrong time. My daughter's like, Dad, would you go shark diving? I'm like, no. She's like, why not? And then we had a conversation about risk and reward. I get no reward for that risk. For what? Me being terrified, my heart stopping? No, I get no reward at all. Anyways, I'm totally off topic. So my wife says, let me tell you about the right place at the right time. She says, there's one place, and I vetted this story, by the way, this is true. There's one place in the world off the coast of South Africa that sharks breach the water. What they do is they go deep down, they swim like, miles down the water. They come up, and in this certain place, there's a congregation of seals that like swim across top, and the shark will come up and will nab a seal, and it comes up so fast that they come up out of the water, and they're like, man, they've tracked these sharks. The same shark will do it right there at that one spot in South Africa. They'll track the same shark around the world. It won't do it anywhere else. It does it right there. I'm like, why? And she's like, we don't know. That's why I watch Shark Week. Okay, so anyway, the scientists are confounded. They don't know why, but it's the one spot. Well, not too long ago, a man by the name of Chris McLennan, who's a photographer, he's alive still, he's not an old guy, he's a younger guy, basically went out and was the first human ever to capture a picture of this shark breaching the water. In fact, go ahead and bring it up. Chris McLennan has an Instagram page, by the way. This is his Instagram page. Actual picture of a shark breaching the water and snagging the seal. Here's another one, same spot. Actually coming out of the water. And so when you think about right place at the right time, we talk about the fact that we are a camera, and we worry that we're not going to get the shot. We worry that I'm not going to be where I need to be, and something great's going to happen, I'm going to miss it. And the reality is, if Chris McLennan was any other place at that time, you don't get that shot. And so we need to talk about this. Now, I want to take a moment, kind of set this up a little bit. Like, we've got these questions as we're trying to think through our purpose. And throughout this series, we've talked about 3 different words. I'm going to introduce a 4th one today. The first one is purpose, that we've been designed by God to do a specific thing. And part of our purpose are who's in our life and what we do and when we do it and where we do it and why we do it. That's all a big part of our purpose. We talked about preparation. We talked about preparation a couple weeks ago, and we talked about how everything that's happened in your life up to this point is part of your preparation. Doesn't mean God ordered everything up. God did not order up the infidelity. God did not order up the tragic accident. God did not order up the cancer. But God can take everything from the past, and he can use it for the future. And so if you're still alive and you still have breath in your lungs, that means you still have assignments and purpose. And so everything that's happened, regardless of what bucket it belongs in, it's part of your preparation, the what's and the whens and the wheres and the whys and the who's of your past. We talked last week about partnerships. We talked about how Mary, when she was going through what she was going through, came into partnership and relationship with Elizabeth. Elizabeth was a relative who was an older woman who also was pregnant at the same time Mary was, and so they became like tripods for one another. Elizabeth helped Mary see a perspective on her life that caused Mary to see through the same lens that Elizabeth did, and she sprung into the Magnificat and how blessed she was in a time she didn't feel all that blessed. We see that Mary helped Elizabeth through her third trimester as Elizabeth was helping Mary through her first trimester, and so partnerships. It's part of the whys and the wheres and the whens and the whos and the whats and all that. Today I want to talk to you about positioning. Positioning. And with positioning, we have being positioned in the right place at the right time. Now, I want to go back to Luke chapter 2 because I think there's an important lesson we have here as we look, and when we really look at the life of Mary, how her positioning did not feel or seem by anyone's logic to be the right place at the right time. Let me unpack the story a little bit. We are introduced to a character named Caesar Augustus at the beginning of chapter 2. Caesar Augustus wasn't born with that name. He was actually born with the name Octavian. And he was one of 3 individuals who was trying to take over as the Roman emperor actually after Julius Caesar. So the 3 of them fought it out. The nation and the whole empire was war-torn. And he was the one that won. And because he won, now he was wanting to count his empire. And so he said, you know what, everyone's going to be taxed, and we're going to do a census, and so we need everyone to go to their hometown. And so, Mary and Joseph get this letter in the mail, congratulations, Julius Caesar wants to count his people, and so you're going to need to go to your hometown, Bethlehem. Mary's like, Bethlehem? Dude, that's like 80 miles away. And Joseph's like, Caesar Augustus said we're going to do it. He's like, 80 miles, when? On your due date. Okay. How are we going to get there? Donkey? Like, God, if you're going to have me do this immaculate conception thing, and I'm going to carry a baby for 9 months, and we're going to do this thing natural, and we're going to do the whole thing, like, could you just somehow do your miracle stuff and have, Caesar Augustus push back his census maybe 6 months, maybe a year? I mean, talk about the timing. I've got to go to Bethlehem. I mean, we just read the Christmas story. It's like, oh, Bethlehem and in the manger, and like it was really sweet. Like, what? Like, you want me to travel on my due date? Like, so they have to do this traveling. They get there. They get to Bethlehem, and it's so crowded. They go to every sanitary place, and they're all full. Every sanitary place, every hotel, every inn, every place is taken. And the only place they can find shelter is in a stable that is full of animals. Talk about the wrong place at the wrong time. This is crazy. I mean, we do these live nativities, which are awesome. And we're all like, oh my goodness, nothing makes me feel warm and fuzzier than a live nativity. Unless you're Mary, about to give birth. A bunch of barn animals looking at you. I don't have a bassinet. I don't have anything to sanitize my environment. I'm going to take my baby and put it in a manger. A manger is a feeding trough for animals. Wrong place at the wrong time. That had to be how it felt. And yet it was exactly where God had her and had positioned her. See, we're worried that we're not going to be in the right place at the right time. And especially if you're in an environment you don't want to be in. I don't like this job. I don't like this city. I don't like this relationship. I don't like this situation. I don't like where I'm at. I feel like I'm underappreciated. I feel like I'm in a toxic environment. I don't want to be where I am. And so anything that feels like a stable, and especially if we can go, if God was really in this, why would he have this census take place on my due date? And why wouldn't he at least have one room open in an inn? Why would I have to be here? We draw these conclusions that we're in the wrong place at the wrong time. But friend, I want to tell you that the right place at the right time is right here, right now. See, God had positioned Mary right where he wanted her to be. And if she had allowed her flesh to rise up, she would have concluded, I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time. No. You're in the right place at the right time. And you may be sitting here going, I don't want to be in Columbus. I don't want to be in this. I don't want to be in this situation. There, you may be able to kind of go through your personal positioning right now. This isn't where I thought I'd be in my career. I didn't think that my dream would be deferred this long. This isn't what I have my degree in. This wasn't in my master plan. This doesn't make sense. It feels like God has forgotten about me, or that God's not holding up his end of the bargain. I've carried this baby and he couldn't even get me a hotel. Why? Where am I at? What am I doing here? And yet right here, right now, is the right place at the right time. I want you to take a moment and think about the day that we live in, right? If we had all been born in the Middle Ages, most people didn't travel beyond 50 miles of where they were born. Just the way that travel was, you almost never did. Actually, if you look in our own country 100 years ago, in the 1920s, most people didn't travel outside of 200 miles from their hometown or where they grew up, because cars were not yet ubiquitous. It wasn't easy to travel. Your team of oxen or your horse were probably one of your biggest investments. So for you to travel outside of that space was risking your animal. If your animal was to get injured or something was to happen, it'd be hard to get back. I mean, it was just major challenge. We live in a day, all of us have traveled 200 miles. I mean, you travel 200 miles in 3 hours. Some of you have the wind at your back. You make it in closer to 2. And so I'm saying like because of the day we live in, I mean, think about, we live in a globalized time. We live in a time that you can communicate around the world. You can travel like crazy. You can distribute messages. You can have an impact on the whole world. Like, we live in an amazing time. And we know all the dangers that are associated with being in the information age, but I just don't think it was an accident that God put you right here, right now, to do what he's called you to do. I want to go back to Chris McLennan and the shark picture and everything, and I want to go back to the camera, because in our analogy, we're not the photographer, we're the camera. God's the photographer. And I know that cameras don't have hearts and brains and attitudes and everything, but let's pretend like for a minute that they do. One day this camera is minding its own business, and Chris McLennan comes up and takes the camera and shoves it in some bag. Didn't ask its permission, didn't consult, didn't sit down and lay out with the camera what he was going to do, just sticks the camera in a bag and starts moving. Starts going somewhere, and the camera's like, why? Where are we going? When are we going to get there? What are we going to do? Who's going to be a part of it? Didn't tell him. Just put you in the bag, let's roll. Chris McLennan gets on an airplane, and the camera's like, okay, get down. Gets on a boat, starts going off the coast of South Africa. The camera's like, I'm feeling a little seasick. What is going on? I have more questions than I did before. When am I going to get out of the bag? What's going on? Like, what is happening? I don't get it. I don't know what's going on. At some point, they get out, and Chris McLennan pulls the camera out, The camera's looking around in the middle of the ocean. Camera doesn't see land. Camera doesn't know where it's at. Camera's not sure what the plan is, what's going on. All the camera knows is I'm out here in the middle of nowhere. All the camera can see is what's above the surface. All I just see is water from I'm in the middle of nowhere. Who put me in this bag? And what's the point? I want some answers. And while the camera's sitting there trying to figure out what in the heck is going on, what's up with this positioning, all of a sudden, this shark, because the camera doesn't understand that Chris McLennan knows what's going on beneath the surface. There's something happening beneath the surface. Chris McLennan knows there's a shark down there that's doing a deep dive. And to you, all you can see is what's above the water. All you can see is your perspective. And from your perspective, your positioning is that I'm in the middle of nowhere doing I don't know what for what. This makes no sense. I'm in a stable. I'm surrounded by barn animals. Some of you, that's how Monday feels. You're like, that's what Monday feels like. I feel like I'm surrounded by barn animals. Some of you are like, my job feels like I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'm sitting, and I don't know why I'm here. And yet, God knows what's going on beneath the surface. And when the shark pops out of the water, you got to be ready to take the picture God's called you to take. Now, I want you to think about this. Part of us walking by faith is us staying ready when we feel like we're in the middle of nowhere. Hey, have you ever missed a shot because you weren't ready? I'm going to tell you this. Trust God's positioning and stay ready. Stay ready. You ever had something happen to your kid's doing something cute and you're going, and isn't it just Murphy's Law? Every time you get it up, they quit. They start being nasty and ugly again. Doggone it. Can you do it again? They won't do it again. They won't do it again. Little demon-possessed children. But the camera's job is to be on and to be ready and to understand the settings and to be prepared and to trust that the person who positioned me understands what's happening beneath the surface. And when the shark pops out of the water, I'll be ready to snap the picture. If I could give you a gift today, it would be for you to fully appreciate the day that you live in and the positioning that you're in right now. To not take for granted that you live in 2019 going into 2020. That you wouldn't take for granted the fact that God's put you in Columbus, Ohio at this time. That God's put you in the United States of America at this time. That God's put you in the job and the place and the team that He's put you. That you'd stop wishing to be elsewhere. We live in a day where people long to be someone and somewhere that they're not. Take the picture you're meant to take. Ask this question. What is mine to do? What is mine to do? What picture am I supposed to take? Because if I'm out in the water in South Africa, and this is the picture God's called me to take, what good does it be for me to sit and wish that I was in Tahiti, wish that I was in Namibia, wish that I was in some other place, instead of going, no, I'm going to be present where I'm at. Everybody's longing to be elsewhere, some other place that they're not, because they think that's the big time. You know what's the big time? Wherever God's put you. Right here, right now, is the right place at the right time. You know what's the big time? Right here, right now. This conversation's the big time. You know what's the big time? Your dinner table, sir. Your dinner table's the big time. You know what's the big time? Your Christmas tree. Your family sitting around the Christmas tree. That's the big time. You know what's the big time? Conversation with your wife or your husband driving in the car. You know what's the big time? You sitting around as a family at Chick-fil-A. That's the big time. That's the big time. The big time is wherever God's put you, whatever picture God's asked you to take. Some of you are so worried that you're never going to achieve all your goals and all your dreams, and you're never going to take all the pictures and be everywhere. You have no idea where God's going to position you. You don't know what's in the next season. Stop worrying about it. Let Him take care of the positioning. You stay ready where you're at to take the picture God's called you to take. I sat down with my daughter and I was telling her about Chris McClendon. I'm like, Ella, he's got an Instagram. We're looking at his Instagram picture. We start scrolling through his Instagram pictures, and go ahead and bring up some of those. Here's another one he takes, Keep going. Well, I could preach a sermon off of that. Sometimes God will call you to take a scary picture. He takes this one. You just never know where God's going to take you. And when we got here, we started looking at his feed, and Ella's like scrolling through, and she's like, Dad, I think he used more than one camera. So what do you mean? She said, well, a few of those look like drone shots. So I went and I clicked on a few. One of them came up and said, #drone shot. It's like, yeah, it is. And she's like, this other one, he's used an underwater camera for that one. And some of them he tags what kind of camera he used. And sometimes he used the same camera in a different location. And sometimes he used a different camera for a different purpose because this one had the capability to go to a place the other one didn't. And he had a different assignment. And what I realized as my daughter was preaching to me as we were looking through this is what I realized is many times we become so obsessed around us and our mission and our hopes and dreams and our ambitions, and we're worried that we're going to not be in the right place at the right time to get to all the things that we wanted to do. And it's really not even about us as the camera. It's really about God's feed. It's really about all the pictures that God wants to take, because he can't take all the pictures he needs to take with just you. He needs that person next to you. He needs other people because he's made us all uniquely different to be able to do the different things that God's called us to do. You know what it says about Mary? It says about Mary that while she was in this stable after she gave birth and placed her baby in an animal feeding trough, that at the same time God was taking a different picture with the shepherds, and he was speaking to them and about everything that what Jesus was going to do and what their part was in it. And it says in verse 16 in Luke 2 that they hurried to the village and found Mary and Joseph, and there was a baby lying in the manger. And after seeing him, the shepherds told everyone what had happened, and the angel said to them about the child. And verse 18 says, all who heard the shepherd's story were astonished. Look what it says in verse 19. It says, and Mary kept all these things in her heart and thought about them often. Mary treasured all these things. Mary captured all these things in her heart. Mary took the picture, took the snapshot. She said, it might feel like the wrong place at the wrong time. It might feel like I'm out of position, but I'm going to capture this moment. Whoosh, I'm going to take the picture I'm supposed to take. I'm going to take a picture of this manger, and I'm going to take a picture of this stable, and I'm going to take a picture of these shepherds, even though I didn't invite them to come in here right after I just had this baby, but that's fine. I'm going to take a picture of them. I'm going to take a picture of this moment, and I'm going to take a picture of my purpose, because I'm going to believe that the positioning that God's put me in right here, right now, is the right place at the right time. And it says later on in actually Luke 2, when Jesus was 12 years old, they were going through another season where he was lost in Jerusalem, and she finds him, and he says some things that were confusing to her. And it says at the end of that story, and Mary treasured these things in her heart. She took that picture and she froze it in time. And sometimes you got to go back to an old picture and go, I don't understand what's going on now that he's 12, but I'm going to go back to when he was born, and I'm going to go back to that picture, and I'm going to remember that God had me positioned in a way that I wouldn't have asked for, but that was God's positioning, and I'm going to believe that God's positioning me now. So what is my job to do? What is it that God has for me to do? To treasure in my heart, to capture the picture that God has called for me to take. So I want you to ask yourself, what is mine to do? I want you to ask yourself that. What is mine to do? I want you to stop worrying and stop longing to be somewhere else and to be something else and to be with somebody else. But to capture what God has called you to capture, what is yours to do it and enjoy it. And sometimes it'll be a shark coming out of the water. Sometimes it'll be the eyes of a little girl. Sometimes it'll be a mom with 2 babies. Sometimes it'll be an underwater shot. God may call you to a drone shot someday. That's fine. Just trust the positioning. If he wants you there, he'll put you there. When he wants you to, just right now, you stay ready in the position that God has for you. Right here, right now is the right place at the right time.